What's up, everybody? Today, I have a very special guest on the podcast. He's actually my brother-in-law, but the reason I really brought him on is I'm so proud of him. He knew I was making credit card videos, and at the time, he knew I had the American Express Centurion card. He always wanted to get the best credit possible. He wanted to make sure that he gets the Amex Platinum. And at age 18, Lawrence, my brother-in-law, got the Amex Platinum. That's not even something I was able to do. So on this podcast, we're going to talk about the importance of credit at his age, how he was able to get the American Express Platinum at the age of 18. And we're really going to learn about Lawrence and why credit is important to an individual that's young. He's 20 years old now, just about to go to college, but we're going to hear his experience. Now, before I get into this podcast or this video, I always ask that you guys like it, subscribe if you like this type of content, show some support, comment below, and let's hear about Lawrence. Lawrence, thanks for coming on. I hope you're not nervous.
Not nervous at all.
All right. So first thing I have to ask is, how cool is it to be my brother-in-law?
Honestly, it's quite a privilege, I must say.
A privilege. This is a good term. Why would you say, or what are some of the most fond memories you have of being my brother-in-law? What's cool about being my brother-in-law?
Oh my God, where do I start?
Oh man, he's not getting paid for this, guys. I didn't tell him to say this.
He didn't. This is actually a pop-up question, I must,
Yeah,
I must make that clear.
I gave him a list of questions, and this is not on there. That's the truth.
Yeah, no, I must say when I first met you, when I was like about 4 years old, we watched Tom and Jerry in the mornings.
2 years old.
2 years old,
Yep.
all the way up until I would say like 8 years old.
Yep.
And we watched Tom and Jerry in the mornings, and then we played board games. You'd read to me. Yeah.
I was a good brother-in-law. But
Well, you
know what it is? You've grown up well. You're on your way to UCSD, which is a great school. I'm proud of you. I think you're coming up. You're becoming a young adult. You're 20 years old now, or will be, right?
2 weeks.
Wow. Good. Congratulations. I think I'll be there. And and why I wanted you to come on the podcast is really because I have a big credit card following. So we're going to get into a little bit about credit cards, why you felt they were important, credit history or credit score. And then we're going to get a little bit about personal passions such as exotic cars. You have some really good stories about that and some good events. And in fact, your job kind of allowed you to be at the Monterey Car Week, which is pretty cool. So we'll get into that. So guys, I'm excited. Let's go to the first question.
Let's go.
All right. So what motivated you to start building good credit at such a young age? Because I do know that building credit is a long-term process. You don't see the rewards, especially at a young age.
Yeah, I'd say my main first motivator when I started building credit was seeing everyone getting apartments that was about 30 years old. And I was saying to myself, why do I need to wait until 30 to afford my first apartment and start building my credit at about the age of 25 when I could start right when I turned 18. So my birthday hit September 18th. Next day, I applied for my first credit card.
So it sounds like the motivation was because of getting an apartment. Is that correct? Or was it because you wanted to have a house one day or get a car loan or whatever? Was it just the apartment?
I would say it's more of a general broad aspect of being able to know that I can have credit if I want something at a younger age and not wait until I'm 25 years old.
Okay. Now, this question's not on the list, but something popped up. Were your friends also into such a credit, history or a good credit score type deal? Were they also pursuing this, or was this just you? Like, are your friends also great credit scores or excellent credit scores on their reports, or what? Or
yeah, so it's funny. I was actually, since I was the cutoff date back in elementary school, I was put a year forward in school. So I was always the youngest of my grade. So when I turned 17, everyone was already 18. When I turned 18, everyone was turning 19. So I would say no one really had as much of a credit history. So I mainly looked up to my parents, my brothers, you, to think about credit, start maturing, start getting more mature. Yeah. I'd say there was probably two other people that were two grades above me that had good credit, but my friends never really talked about credit at all.
What about now? Now that you do have good credit, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but now that you have good credit, is this a conversation that kids around your age even bring up, or are they talking about girls and cars?
Yeah, a lot of the times I try to get my friends to build their credit. I showed them my history of credit cards I first started out with, what steps I took, how do I make payments on time, what do I do, reminders, and I help my friends be able to afford their own credit cards.
That's pretty amazing. Where would you say, like now the internet's so resourceful, but where would you say you picked up your credit experience or credit knowledge on how to build credit? Now, I remember years back you were asking me about credit cards, which credit cards should you start with? And I made some videos on that on the channel based off kind of you coming to me for that. But overall, where would you get your intel or your info from?
Yeah, I'd say definitely YouTube, huge resource. You are also a big resource from your YouTube videos. Oh. You guys should watch those.
Didn't pay him for that.
Yeah, I'd say YouTube, and then just talking to people in the outside world, at my dealership where I work at, or at my dad's store. I would talk to people, customers that came in. I would just talk to random people about credit cards.
That's cool. I mean, that's a good conversation to have.
It is.
All right. So what were some challenges that you faced building good credit? Because you can't just get, say, an Amex Platinum card, right?
No, not that easy.
Okay.
I'd say the main challenges were learning to be patient. I didn't get my Amex Platinum card until 2 years after, or about a year and a half after my first card. So I had to wait 6 months with my first card. Then I got my second card. And then after like every few months, I got my third, then my fourth. And then I finally got my Amex Platinum card.
So 2 questions pop up. What was your first credit card?
I can actually show you. I have it right here.
Do it. A nice Audemars Piguet wallet. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, this actually is my first credit card right here. You guys can see that.
Is it still active?
I just finished it. The expiration date just passed.
Okay, so good. Because you showed the numbers, I was worried. All right. And what is it? Let me see it. It's a First Financial Bank card. So it shows you guys that you don't just get the Amex Platinum or the Centurion or any of these. I've never even heard of First Financial. But why did you decide to get the First Financial card, or what was the reason? Because probably we're not getting approved for many cards at the time of 18.
Yeah, so I turned 18 and I started researching different cards, and then the mail came, First Financial Bank. They sent me a mail and it said, turning 18, apply for your first student card. So I got this one. I had a huge credit limit of about $500 on this one.
Which you could buy like one or 2 times grocery shopping basically nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Because a big thing, you want to stay under 30% at most times on your credit.
Yeah.
So I'd probably buy like food ever so often, and then I'd pay it off. Yeah, sometimes I do gas, $50 here and there.
Now, let me ask you, for all the viewers and all the people that want to build good credit, did you pay it off every month, or did you carry the balance over?
Yeah, so you can pay it off every month, but I would actually pay it off every time I'd use my card. I'd pay it off 2 days after, just to always have it paid off. I always like to have it like right on time paid off.
You know, you're like the second person on this podcast in a row that says you would pay off your balances way before they are due, just to not carry debt. And that's such a good, responsible thing to do. I used to do that as well. Depends on which month and how much liquidity you have. Obviously, you want to pay it off. But if you're not a good spender, or if you're not a spender, what I mean by a good spender, a responsible spender, where you're just buying. If you have a habit of overly purchasing, you should always pay off your card as soon as you make the purchase. This way you could see how much money you have in the bank. So that's a good thing that you were doing. That's great. Since the First Financial card, how many credit cards did you open before getting the Amex Platinum card?
Yeah, so I have my second card right here. So I had the First Financial Bank card for about 6 months, and then I built my credit up. I'd say my credit was around, so you start at 650 when you open your first credit card. and I built
Which
it up.
gets you nothing.
Yeah, it gets you gets you very minimal amount.
Yep.
I built it up to about 680 in I'd say 5 to 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had already a debit card with Chase. So I went to Chase and I asked them to. This is my card right over here. It's a Freedom Unlimited card. I love this card. And I went to Chase and I went to the teller and I said, I'd like to apply for my first Chase credit card. I have a couple of years of history with my savings account with you guys. And then they recommended me the Unlimited card.
Wow. So Chase was the second card. That's pretty impressive because they're, I would say, the biggest financial institution.
Oh, they're huge.
And that's a great card to have. And the Freedom card doesn't have any annual fee, which is nice.
Yeah.
Did the First Financial? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, so none of the cards except for the Platinum had annual fees.
Smart. So one thing we could tell to the viewers is if you're going to apply for credit cards and have a lot of them, you should definitely get credit cards without a fee.
Definitely.
What's the point of paying for it?
Yeah, also low APY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. APR, annual percent rate.
Yeah. And then I'd say my second card was this one right here. It's a Discover card. This one's a strictly student card.
I had that card, guys. That was one of the few cards I've had before my journey to Centurion.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
And then my next card was this Venmo card.
The Venmo credit card. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I get Venmo payments all the time. So they always ask me to open it up. Have you used that as a credit card before?
Yeah, so the thing is, my Chase and Discover, and also I'll show you guys this one, my Credit One card, they all gave me about 2,500 credit limits, so pretty low. But my Venmo, which I opened up before the Credit One card, gave me a $5,000 limit right off the bat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Venmo, they, from my experience and from my friend who I recommended Venmo to, they gave both of us huge credit limits while the other ones really didn't.
Is it a Visa card?
Yes, so it is a Visa.
It's a Visa.
It's run by Visa. And if you have a Venmo account, there's an easy button right on the app. You just press apply for credit card.
This is not an advertisement. They're not paying us. So, but yeah, that is easy to apply for. Did you ever get the Apple card?
Yeah. So I actually.
Oh, wow.
Did you see me pulling that up?
No, I didn't see it pull it out.
So this is the Apple card right here. If you
It
guys
says
can
your
see
name.
that. Yeah. So this is actually my second Apple card. My first one, I applied as a co-signer under my dad's name.
Okay.
On his Apple card. And then I'd say about 6 months ago, I applied for my own Apple card.
Congratulations. And you were approved?
Yes.
Instantly?
I was approved. Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty easy for Apple.
What's the limit on the Apple card?
My Apple one is about, I would say, 5,000.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty good.
you've got like a few cards that you're raising a high limit and you're not spending that much so that your spending ratio is very low and you're paying them off in time, which shows great payment history.
Yeah.
My Apple card limit, I think, is 40 or 50,000, which is pretty insane. And as far as my experience with Chase, I did have the Freedom card myself as well. And Apple is run by Charles Schwab, which is or Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, and it's a MasterCard.
Yeah, it's a MasterCard.
Yeah, Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs, yeah. There you go. And they're pretty nice. I think the relationship there is not as solid based on some articles I read. So I don't know if they're approving people, but I'm still glad you got approved for the card. And I actually like the Apple Card too. Now I have used Apple Card's customer service. It's done through text messaging or iOS, and it's not that good based on my experience with American Express Platinum and so forth. So now that we discussed pretty much the process. Let's get a step-by-step guide or a step-by-step kind of tutorial of how you got to the Amex Platinum card. And then we're going to go into the Amex Platinum card right after.
Sounds good. So I just showed you guys my credit cards. And basically what I did is my first card that I showed you, the gold one, I just started spending, I'd say $5 a month just to make it running. Low credit limit on it, and just paid it off every month. And I did that for all my cards and my big purchases. I used my big cards for that, my Venmo, my Credit One card, and my Chase card. And I just kept on building and building my credit, and I got enough credit where I was approved for Amex Platinum card. Honestly,
was the Amex Platinum card a dream of yours, or was it why the Amex Platinum?
I mean, yeah, it was always a dream of mine.
But why? What particular? Is it a goal? Is it something you've seen your dad have in his wallet? a me or somebody else that inspired you to it? Do you see like a guy driving a Ferrari also paying with it? What was it?
Yeah, I mean, I turned 18. I look to the sides of me and I just see guys taking out their cool Amex Platinum card, being like that cool macho man. And I was always saying to myself, soon I'll have that card. And I just kept on pushing for it. I mainly wanted it because I know they give really high credit limits, and Amex, they are the best customer support. They'll help you with all your needs. Really easy 24/7 calling with them. I'm sure you know. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think they've kind of the trendsetter in that concierge customer support.
Definitely.
Take care of its members game. Now, the Platinum card doesn't come easy. The annual fee is about $700.
Yeah, I think $695 a year.
So how did you manage that?
Yeah, I just have a lot of money saved up from working over the past few years. So every year I just set aside $700. So I know each time it comes around, I just pay it off.
And you also get benefits that I'm sure you kind of use with travel that pays off that $700 fee.
Yeah, I mean, not even talking about the Centurion Lounge in the airports.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get even Uber Eats, you get discounts. You get discounts at all hotels that you stay at that are Marriott. And you get points that you can use points on airlines and stuff like that.
Very good. And at the age of 18, this young man got a Platinum card. I mean, I know people 30 years old still haven't even got one. That's very impressive, guys. Now, I don't know if he travels by himself all the time to Centurion. I'm sure you have your cool backpack with all your gear or whatever, but that's pretty awesome that you also got to experience it. Which Centurion lounges have you been to? Have you been to the one in San Francisco?
So, yeah, I've been to the one in San Francisco, the one in Cabo San Lucas.
Oh,
that one's really nice.
I'd say
that was the best one.
That is a really nice one.
Yeah, those are the only two I've been to so far.
But you loved them.
Yeah, I loved it.
So do you get all the food and get loaded up?
Oh yeah, they have hot, fresh meals ready for you, espressos. You get to sit in the chairs.
Are you the type of guy that gets a little bit of everything at the Centurion Lounge and makes himself 3 different coffees just to experience? I mean, you're young, so you're experiencing. Don't be shy and tell us the truth.
I'm the type of guy that will come 2 hours early just to chill out in the Centurion Lounge, get a little full course meal going, dessert, try another meal going.
That's awesome. And I believe, and guys correct me on the comments if I'm wrong, but you could come up to 3 hours before to get into the airport. And actually, I believe 3 hours before for a Centurion Lounge as well. It might be 2, I don't know. But if you could do 3 hours, then that might be a good thing. And one advantage to Centurion that the viewers may or may not know is you could also go to a Centurion Lounge on your way on arrival. Not on departure, but on arrival. With Platinum cards, you can't. So if you want to get a meal when you land to a destination and do the whole drinks thing again, you could arrive and get loaded up or eat or do whatever and then go meet whoever you got to meet or go to your hotel room or whatever.
Well, Centurion's the next one.
Okay, so that leads me to that next question. Aside from, say, Uber Eats, you mentioned, some of the TSA programs that they offer, travel credits, and maybe gym memberships. Although you're in a college that's going to have a full-blown
They
gym.
offer an Equinox,
I
believe, yeah.
Like a little credit, yep. Platinum offers a little less. I think a full membership for the Centurion and for Platinum, it's $150 or $120 or so towards your credit. I don't remember at this point, but I don't use the Platinum credit because I have the Centurion credit. But aside from those perks, what does it feel like using a Platinum card when you're purchasing something or taking out a date or really just having one in your wallet?
Yeah, I love having it right in the front of my other cards just so I can pull it out. It just feels nice. It feels like I was the 18-year-old kid when I was looking at the 30-year-old guy paying with his card at the restaurant. I felt like that guy. Every time I would go to buy a Bobo, even for a friend, something small like that.
And by bobo, you mean those milk teas my daughters make me buy them all the time?
Yeah. The non-diabetic little chocolate balls.
Yeah. Those are interesting. By the way, that's a killer business. From what I heard from the landlord that owns those boba places, they rake in like $6,000 a day.
For sure. I think there hasn't been a single high school student that has not gotten a boba drink this past month.
And for the older audience that may not know, I didn't know what it was till like a couple of years ago. These are like milk teas with balls in them, tapioca balls or whatever. I don't know. I don't
think
like
it's
the
a
balls.
brown sugar melted into a little tapioca ball with different flavors of drinks.
It's craziness. The craziness in your mouth. If I was to get it, I wouldn't get it with the balls, but a lot of kids love that stuff and they make a lot of money. All right, let's continue. Good credit on paper is something that doesn't show every day, but how confident do you feel having good credit, knowing you have good credit? Like, does it give you more confidence in your financial upbringing or where you will be in the future? Like, does it, I guess the flip side of it, if you have bad credit, do you feel it would limit you to thinking bigger picture? I could own this one day, I could own that.
Yeah, I'd say at my age, almost 20, having good credit doesn't do too much yet. You need to have car leases under your name and other stuff before you can actually start using your credit for, let's say, an apartment. So a main thing that it does for me is it gives me motivation to keep going. If I didn't have good credit right now, or if I didn't even have credit right now, I'd feel lazy, lost, very unmotivated. But having a good credit, having all the cards, it makes you feel like you're really active, you're achieving something. It makes you just keep on exponentially growing.
Let's talk about that. So I would actually feel worried too. I think you could add that in because here you are trying to be an adult. And if you don't have good credit, that's kind of scary in today's world where everything is on lending and lease and so forth. But you mentioned something earlier that caught my attention, and we've kind of been going off this question script, and this is why I love these podcasts. You mentioned that you have, what's your credit score right now?
My credit score right now, I didn't check since last week, but it was 470. I mean, sorry.
Whoa.
770.
I was at 470. Why did I bring this guy on?
770.
770. That's an excellent score.
Yeah.
I think 740 gets you right at a little bit ahead.
So 750 and up is excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're at 770, so you technically be qualified for a house if you had the income, et cetera.
Yeah.
With that credit score, you are basically in a category of individuals that can afford to buy a car, buy a house, et cetera. But you mentioned something earlier that without having a car on your credit history and just having credit cards, you're kind of limited. And I assume it's because recently you were in the market for apartments. You really probably had to have a cosigner or whatever it may be. So touch a little base on that. It seems like credit cards are not going to get you past the finish line, and there's something to shoot for even if you get the platinum or any of the other credit cards. So give us the importance of actually having credit history that from other accounts such as car leases or houses or rent.
Yeah, so actually just to bring it back a little notch, so I'm going to UCSD. I was looking for off-campus apartments, and I was saying to myself, I have good credit, all this stuff. I went in, and actually credit was the second thing they asked for. The first thing they asked for was my bank statements, because income is a lot larger of a priority for some rental agencies than others. So at that point, I had a guarantor, my parents.
I see.
To co-sign.
So they want to make sure you have enough in the bank to carry it over 6 months or something.
Yeah, so sometimes credit isn't the most important. A lot of the thing is having income, but then again, credit is the second step. And if you don't have credit, nothing's happening. So
those two kind of go hand in hand.
They do.
Very, very interestingly enough, when you're renting a car or leasing a car, I should say, guys, they don't ask you for bank statements. Rarely I've seen that happen, or I've actually maybe never seen it happen with me. But if you're renting an apartment or something more private, they may ask you for bank statements, and they may ask you for more proof of income than just the credit score. They're going to say, hey, we don't care that you've paid your bills on time, but you've never maybe paid $3,000-4,000 at a time.
Yeah, because me paying off $3,000-4,000 for my credit card limits is not the same as affording nowadays $3,000 apartment. So they want to make sure that you have the money for it and that you have enough saved up that they even ask for having at least 3 times the amount of the annual lease in your account just to start with, so that there's no problems at all.
An annual lease or a monthly?
So it's a monthly lease, but they take the annual amount of, so 3,000 a month.
36 grand a year.
So they wanted to make sure I had 3 times that amount in my account.
105,000 or so, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. That's why
I've rented to people that have decent jobs that don't have anywhere near that. Whoever rented you this place, that's some strict stuff.
I mean, it was the best one I could find.
That's good. Well, they did their research. I should hire them for management.
Oh, yeah. No one's missing a payment at that place.
All right. So let's get back to it. What are some common mistakes young people make with credit that you know about from your friends or experiences?
Yeah. Some common mistakes is people, they see they have a high credit limit, let's say $4,000. So a lot of credit cards that I've had, actually all of them have had that, they have a bonus. It says if you spend $2,000 in 2 months, you get $200. Mm-hmm. So they just go ahead. My friend actually did this. He spent the $2,000 and then he said, oh, wait, I can't pay that off in time. So being able to know that you can afford what you're spending on your credit card is the most important thing, because if you don't pay it off, your credit score will drop by 50 points at least with a missed payment.
Yeah, I agree. I think they entice you to spend.
Yeah.
Part of the corporate structures of America is always to entice you to spend or do something, and it makes sense. And giving, you spend X amount, you're going to get French fries, or whatever they throw in there. That's great. But it kind of goes back to you're giving this big responsibility. You're literally borrowing someone's money. That's really what it is.
Exactly.
They're no different than almost going to the mob and getting some money, except you're not going to get beat up. But someone is lending you money, and if you're not responsible with it, they're quickly going to shut and kill your credit score.
Oh, for sure.
So the best thing you could do when you get a lot of money or you win the lottery is make sure you understand how to manage that money. Yeah. And a credit card is just a lend of money for only 30 days.
Yeah, that's just the key.
Yeah.
And then you need to know how to manage it. A big thing is also if you're late in a payment, they add, as we were saying earlier, they add a percentage onto. So instead of paying back $2,000, you'd be paying off $2,300. Yeah. So they add $300 right on top of that.
And then it goes higher and higher.
Yeah,
and
every time.
That's how a lot of people get caught or get in trouble.
Yeah.
So never make the minimum payment, guys. Never make that minimum payment. Yeah. Always try to pay off the balance in full, no matter what. There's no point to raise your interest rates or raise your balances through interest. And then pay late fees. It's just it becomes a nightmare. It really does.
Yeah, I'd say one thing that I focus on is, let's say I'm making a payment, I want to pay it off within the next week, because but having that many credit cards, you're going to forget. You're going to forget that you made a payment. So I have all the apps for all my credit cards, so I always check. And if I miss a payment, I pay it off right away.
Are they on autopay? Do you use autopay?
So I actually don't use autopay. Okay. A lot of people use autopay. I personally like to know every time I'm paying it off, because I like to know everything I'm doing. I like just manually doing things instead of having my computer automatically do it. Sometimes I don't trust my computer the most.
I've had autopay. It's really funny you talk about that. I had autopay on my Apple credit card.
Oh, yeah?
And for whatever reason, it bounced back because it's done electronically.
Oh, really?
And the balance carried over, so they charged me interest plus a penalty.
Wow.
And when I contacted support, they're like, oh, well, you should have paid it. And I said, well, my autopay set up. You guys booted me for it for whatever reason. I don't know why. They first time confirmed that was the case, refunded the fees, refunded the late fee, but they almost dinged me with a 30-day late notice. Then the second month after this, or the month after that, again, the same incident. So autopay is not reliable, but in the contract, you're responsible to make the payment no matter what. So guys, be careful.
It's in the fine writing.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's like you think you set it up, you're done, you walk away. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
All right. So what are some things that a young individual such as yourself or someone around your age can do to avoid such mistakes as you mentioned, which is basically responsibility and making sure that you have good credit?
To tie on to that, I actually, at my age, I only use my credit cards. Let's say if I go to get Chinese food at a restaurant, I have my debit card and I can easily pay with that, or my Apple Pay, my debit card. But every time I want to pay with my debit card, I just pull out my credit card and I pay with that, and then I pay that off. Because essentially you're doing the exact same thing, except you're building your credit at the same time. So whenever you make a payment, just ditch your debit card, pay with your credit, then pay off your credit with your debit.
Smart. That's actually not a bad idea.
As simple as that. And that's how I built my credit from 650 to 770 now.
So 770, is this the highest credit score you've ever had?
This is, yeah. My credit in the past few months has been fluctuating between 750 and 770, just between the two. It goes up and down every so often, mainly because
the balance
sometimes I'll use more than 30%, or sometimes I'll use like almost 70% of it and I pay it off, but it's still, because you use that much, it goes up. But within 2 weeks, it goes back down.
One thing I learned, or a trick to raise your credit, before the next credit report is issued, which is I think once a week they refresh. But one thing, let's say you're applying for a car, you're applying for a house, or you're getting an apartment or anything before you're about to get your credit ran by somebody that's going to verify you. I always recommend you go in and pay off every single credit card. Or that's what I do, actually, because then it shows zero balances everywhere, and it gives your credit that boost of like 20, 30 points right away from just paying down everything. And it's almost, I wouldn't say artificially inflating it, but it's inflating the score by so much, and it's really showing that you got zero debt.
Yeah, once you pay it off, that increases your available credit, and your available credit is what increases your ultimate point.
Credit score.
Yeah.
So what are your plans in the future in terms of your credit and in terms of your desire? Like, say God gives you everything goes great. What are your plans in the future with the credit that you have, or with the credit that you're going to continue to build?
So I believe your credit can go up to 850. So,
by the way, I had 850. I showed it to you. Remember?
We're not paying.
It's not an advertisement, but
that's awesome.
You don't remember that, do you?
I do. I remember. You showed me.
And what did you say?
I said, "Wow," but I didn't really know much about credit at the time because I was 15. I didn't really know, but now that I think of it, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, 850 is a good score.
To keep it at 850 is the hardest part.
Yeah. It's not easy to get to 850. Now, again, apps like Credit Karma, apps like Credit Sesame and so forth, their credit scores aren't always the most accurate. When you apply for like a bank loan or any of these other institutions, they give you a much more thorough, much more direct credit score. But with that said, what are your plans?
Yeah, I'd say my plans are, right now I'm going to be in my apartment, as I was talking about earlier, that I have my parents as my guarantors on. But once I get out of school, get an income going, I will hopefully afford my own place, start paying for my own rent with my credit. And the thing is, actually, for the renting an apartment, it actually doesn't affect your credit. They just want you to have a good credit. That's why they care more about the income. So with my credit-wise, I want to be able to afford my next car.
What car do you currently have?
Currently, I have a BMW 3 Series. It's a lease from BMW right now.
Which 3 Series?
It's an M340i.
Oh, that's a nice car, Lord.
Yeah, I love it. Hopefully, I can get another BMW, but on my own credit.
Which one would you get?
Oh, man. Yeah, that depends.
Let's say perfect scenario. Which M car?
I love my engine. Yeah. I love my car. So either the new version of my car or the new M2 is really cool. Yeah.
Smaller.
It's smaller, more compact. They actually just got the world record for the Nürburgring time for the compact cars.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's incredible with so many competing cars.
Yeah.
Cool. So What about a house in the future? Would you say you're also building credit towards a house?
So that's the thing. A lot of people, this kind of going off topic, but people always focus on getting rent. But the thing is, if you think about it, if you're paying rent every month and it's not actually yours in the very end, you're just wasting money in the meantime. But if you're starting to pay a mortgage off and you just keep paying your mortgage for a little more than the price of a rent, you actually have your house in the end. So once I'm going to be in medical school, so hopefully during or after, I want to start paying mortgage for an actual place.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we'll get into your schooling in a bit, but the mortgage game, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pay off your house, because it takes like 30 years on average, unless you make extra payments and you cut it down to like 22, 23 years. But overall, what people make money on from the mortgage game is the fact that once you keep the property for a certain amount of time, you're going to appreciate on that property. You could borrow against that property. So it's basically like you're living for free if you sell your house or get the money back and invest it properly or do whatever. So you're not paying, you're not going to pay, people think, oh, well, I'm getting my mortgage, I'm paying it off pretty quick.
Yeah.
The actual curve of the mortgage payments is so into the interest side of it that, let's say, out of a $5,000 mortgage payment, you're paying like $1,500 to $2,000 in principal down. Still a lot, but the majority goes to interest until like year 20 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And the people that are more experienced in that could chime in on the comments. But overall, what I've noticed with the properties that I own is the property appreciates so much that even in the course of 7 years of you paying rent, your property appreciated several $100,000. It's like you're getting all that rent back if you sell it.
Yeah.
So is the American Express Centurion in your future eyesight?
Yeah, definitely. I love Amex. Ever since I got my card. Actually, I haven't shown you guys my card yet. Here she is. You guys can see that.
Beautiful. And it's the newer version. A lot of people don't know or may not know. The Platinum didn't used to be that thick metal looking type.
Well, yeah,
Can I hold it?
Oh, yes, of course you can hold it.
Yeah, it's a nice card. And for me, the Platinum card is still the best bang for the buck. I personally love this card. I think it's to me, it says a lot about a person, just like a nice watch. I think it says a lot about a person for their financial status and also who they are as a person. Like they take their finances seriously. Doesn't mean that they're good spenders or that they'll spend well, but what it really says is, hey, this person does like the finer things in life.
Yeah, definitely.
So the Centurion card.
Yeah.
Why would you want that? Now, your dad had it before, I believe.
He did, yeah. He had it a long time ago. He just told me all the benefits he got from it. I mean, even I'd say medical bills or stuff like that, you can call them and you can get stuff cleared, or you go to a hotel, there's a dispute, you call Amex, Centurion, they get it cleared. I'm sure you've dealt with Centurion cards. They're just the most helpful. I'd say it's between that and Chase, the new Chase Sapphire Reserve card. That one's
so the Chase Sapphire Reserve competes with the Amex Platinum, in my opinion. They're hand in hand. The fees are about the same on both cards. They both have pretty much the same offerings.
Yeah.
Different concierge teams, although who knows, they may contract to the same people. But the card that competes with the Centurion, and I've had that card as well, it's the JP Morgan Reserve, not the Sapphire Reserve. And the JP Morgan Reserve actually is a better annual fee than the Amex Centurion. Amex Centurion is $5,000 annual. The JP Morgan Reserve, I think, is probably about $550 or $650 now. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
It's way cheaper.
That's crazy.
But it's heftier, I think, from my memory, and I did a weight test on my channel. You guys can check that video out. But it's about near 30 grams or 28 or so grams in weight. The Amex Centurion is like 12 to 14 grams in weight, like half the weight. And the JP Morgan Reserve is a very good feeling card and just a card that I do love.
Is the Centurion that you have, is it about the same weight as the Platinum? Lighter?
It's about the same weight as actually it's lighter, I think, by a gram or two, which is kind of insane.
Wow, that JP Morgan card, that must be.
It's a hefty card. The only other card I felt just as heavy or heavier was the Ritz-Carlton Platinum card, which is like a special card that's for Ritz-Carlton or St. Regis, one of those fine boutique hotels, or not boutique, but fine hotels. That card was so heavy. I think it might be around 40 grams. And,
Wow.
And I don't think you could get them anymore. You have to be like specially invited or something. Really unique, very rare card to have.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty dope. What would you say, aside from like the customer service or the concierge, what would getting an American Express Centurion card mean to you? Because the reason I ask this question is I get people hitting me up all the time. I had a guy that hit me up on Instagram the other day that said he'll pay me $100,000 to get him a Centurion card or recommend it.
I mean, they're that hard
I
to
was like,
get.
who the hell is this guy? but the point I'm trying to make is it's like, how would it make you feel to have one? Why? Not like the customer service or any of that. How would you feel? What does that mean to you?
I mean, honestly, I'd say going from Platinum, which is top tier card, to a Centurion, it's more so of for yourself. You feel better. You feel like you achieved that. And it makes you, as I said, just want to keep going and going. Because if you show up with a Centurion to a Ferrari dealership, show them your card, they'll know you mean business.
That's right. You're right about that.
So,
I've mentioned it before in the YouTube channel and on this podcast, even discussing it. The Centurion card, when presented at the right location at the right time, gets you a lot of credibility. Doesn't make you any special person or anything like that, but what it does is it brings credibility to you upon a purchase.
Yeah, it puts what you say into reality.
All right. So let's go ahead. We talked about a lot of things about credit, how you got the Amex Platinum, how you started from the first Freedom Financial card to the Chase card to the Venmo card to the Apple card to then the Platinum card. So you could see that pattern. It's not easy. This is a working process with having a good credit score being built up at this whole time and not really being able to use your credit until you're even 2 years later.
Yeah.
And even still being told that your credit is not good enough, you need money in the bank. So credit is one of those misconceptions or one of those things that you have to practice at and have to have, because when the time comes, you got to have good credit because you're going to want to buy that house. You're going to want to buy that Ferrari. You're going to want to buy that BMW M5 or whatever it is. And if you don't have good credit, you're going to go nowhere. But you can't just have good credit as like a flip of a switch.
Yep.
There's no light switch for it. It's a year of building
Exactly.
to get to the championship.
You know, I must say, having credit in general, when I turned 18, I thought it was going to be so much work, so hard. But I'm not going to lie, it was a lot easier than I expected. It just took patience. Like, it took, since I was 18 now until I'm almost 20, I got my American Express card about 4 or 5 months ago. So it took about a year and a half to get it. But other than that, if you're just doing the same scheduled thing, paying every month, that's all, you'll get it. A lot of people have this misconception that it's so hard to get everything, but honestly, it's if you just keep doing it, stay religious to your schedule, that's all it takes. All my friends, they always say, how'd you get that? Like, it's so hard to get that, I thought. But I'm just saying, if you just follow the same steps, it's pretty simple.
And it sounds like the most important steps are paying off your credit on time, applying for new credit, not overspending, paying that off, applying for another card, doing the same thing, keeping your spending under control, and then just applying for the Platinum card. Yeah,
just stay under 30% when you're spending every month. Have multiple cards so you can rely on other cards if you need them, and just pay it off on time. And that's all you do.
Sweet. All right. Well, listen, the credit talk has been great. I hope you inspired some individuals. Again, that's a very young age to have a Platinum card. I probably didn't have a Platinum card until I was like 20, 21, or that age. And then I've got my Centurion card at about 30, maybe 28. maybe 25. I don't remember. I'm old now, but let's switch gears. Let's talk about college because you're leaving
Sounds
for
good.
college. Your parents are freaking out. Your sister
Yeah.
kind of bugs me about it. Are you excited to go to college?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to be excited about. Living alone is going to be really interesting. I think I'm pretty excited about that, but also it's might be a little homesick for the first part, away from the family. So it's going to be interesting. But I think it's going to be really good for me to mature, to get on my own schedule, organize my life. I think it will be good for me.
What are like 2 things you're looking forward to living by yourself and 2 things that you're going to miss, like being homesick or cooking or whatever?
That's a good question. I'd say the first thing I look forward to is being able to make myself a nice little meal plan every day and then put it in my fridge, and then every day just go and eat that meal plan and work out and then go back to my room and just have everything in order in my room, my own room, no one really messing with things inside, a little OCD freak. Another thing I look forward to is I'll have a little balcony on the side of my room. So I'll probably, in the morning, I'll have a little coffee in the morning before school. It's just nice having your own place. One thing I'll miss, my mom's cooking. I'll miss her cooking a lot. Coming home and smelling that fresh food when you walk through the door. And I'd say just having my family right next to me whenever I want them. It will be quite of a shock.
Yeah, but you're not, one cool thing about where you're going to school, you're not too far away. You're just
not.
down south, an hour flight,
Yeah.
8-hour drive.
Yeah, about.
And there's FaceTime.
Yeah.
There's lots of technology nowadays to kind of make you feel that you're together.
Yeah, it's not the same.
I agree. But, imagine it back in the day where there was no, mobile phone, no one could call you right away, et cetera.
Yeah, that.
So that's cool. So independence, you're going to mature, become a man. Some things you mentioned that are very interesting with success that I find in interviewing a lot of different people and also kind of being around some people that have been successful. And I've been in all types of walks of life. So I've been around successful people. I've been around some gangsters, some drug addicts, some people that are like, people that you wouldn't expect to be successful, but some people that you could tell why they're not successful. You mentioned like an OCD, keeping your room clean and perfect to how you like it. And I don't know if you could see, but I'm also a little OCD about how our house gets clean and how I have my studio set up and certain things. And those things bother me until they get addressed.
Yeah.
And I can't focus. Do you have that kind of problem?
I mean, even in my own room, I'll have to focus and study in the computer room, the room next door, because if I have, let's say, even empty mugs or some paperwork that's cluttered in the corner, I can't focus on what I'm doing unless I fix that. It's quite a mind boggler, but at the end of the day, when everything's perfect, organized, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel refreshed.
That's crazy. That's such a trait of like obsessive compulsive behavior or people that I find successful are typically, they really want to organize things. They want things the way they want them to focus on something else. So that's one success habit. Another success habit is coffee. Caffeine, for whatever reason, has become such a thing with like, having that cup in the morning. And for some reason, people that are successful need their coffee.
I'd say it even comes down to classically conditioning yourself, saying like, even if the coffee doesn't do anything, having the coffee makes you want to do something,
It's funny you said that because before this podcast, I used one of our, as you guys know, we have a new office here, and we used our espresso machines. And on this podcast, I was like, Lawrence, we're going to need a nice cup of coffee to really get us going. And we did that.
We did.
So
it was really good.
But that's a mind conditioner of like, hey, we're going to wake up and we're going to do a good job on this podcast and forth. And it seemed to have worked.
It makes you feel good.
The coffee was good.
And sometimes it doesn't even have to be coffee. It could be tea if you don't want caffeine.
Yeah.
It could even be a Celsius. I love Celsius. This isn't a sponsorship, but I love Celsius.
A cold drink?
Yeah, just a cold drink,
what
water.
About an alcoholic beverage? We were talking about that earlier. You're not 21 yet.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the conference room and we were talking about how
Yeah.
it's crazy because you were telling me you were having beers with your mom and dad in Italy.
Yeah, we even have a Vermentino white wine and Portofino.
Yeah.
And I come back here and I'm saying, wow, I can't even have a beer and I'm almost 20 years old. But then we were actually just talking about this. Like I can go fight in the military and I can have a kid.
Yeah.
And
you
I
could
can
be
live.
A father.
I have I could be a
married.
father. Yeah, but I can't have a beer.
But legally, you won't be able, or you have no right to have an alcoholic
legally,
beverage.
yes.
That's insane.
It really does not make. We were even talking about I could vote for a president of the country.
Yeah,
but
you could select the next president.
Yeah,
but you can have one alcoholic beverage. You'd be breaking the law.
Yeah, very interesting.
You could also buy cigarettes.
Yeah, you can have marijuana at my age if I have a health condition.
Yeah, I can have a health condition, marijuana, but I can't have an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I don't understand.
I don't get it either. That's insane. And I was like, and I brought it up. I was like, that is kind of trippy actually, because you could technically, not technically, you could be a father of a 3-year-old at this age.
Oh, easily.
And not be able to have a beer. It's just mind-boggling. So anyway, that's a different topic.
Yep. Don't have a beer, guys.
Yeah, well, do it. It comes down to what society sets as standards. Are you going to oblige or not oblige? And that's a different animal altogether.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go to Italy, you're weird if you don't have a cigarette at my age.
Really?
I actually had a friend back in high school. They moved to Italy in my sophomore year of high school. And they were against all cigarettes, everything, because kids around me they're all smoking. And I get, she posts things on Instagram all the time and she's just smoking cigarettes all the time. And it's just a common thing over there. And I'm like, wow. So really a place also changes you. It's not just you, it's society around you can change you a lot.
I agree. You're a product of your environment.
Oh, easily.
Easily. You could get manipulated. Anything could happen. It could be good and bad though.
Yeah.
In reality. Let's switch course from college. I'm glad you're excited. Definitely going to miss you because again, you are my brother-in-law. You help out a lot, like lifting a TV here in the office. And I'm very hands-on with my development of this building that we do.
Oh, for sure.
So it's been a pleasure having you nearby, not just because you're a nice kid, but also because you lend a hand. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I love this adventure of this warehouse. It's beautiful. Have you shown the viewers the warehouse?
I haven't shown it yet. I don't know when I'll show it.
Once you guys see the warehouse, it's beautiful.
Everybody that's come by to do a podcast so far are pretty amazed. They have a good time and they feel better after the podcast. And it's been great. But they're impressed by the building. And I at first I was really showing off the building, and then I just get to the podcast and really just try to move on. Let's talk about something that's like true passion of yours, and something that I think associates, with success as well as credit, as well as just being a successful individual or man. Exotic cars or cars. In your room at your parents' house, you have probably a collection of, I would say, more than 100 little cars. Am I accurate in that?
I'd say more than that.
More than that. Yeah. Oh, wow. And when we talk about 100 little cars, we're talking about souvenirs, or how would you describe those exotic cars that you have?
Yeah, I have Hot Wheels, then I have pretty big, like 6-inch, huge car models, and then I have the Lego cars. Yeah.
So like they're scaled cars.
Of like 1/18 size cars.
Give me some cars.
Everything from Bugattis, McLarens, Ferraris.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
Anything you can think of. European, American, I have all of them.
How did you get the passion of cars in you? Like let's do, how did you get into cars, or what inspired you to become such a car enthusiast? Because at one point, and I'll say, sorry to interrupt, you even wanted to open up an Instagram car page. And we don't have to go into detail of that, but you were so passionate about cars and photography and cars.
Yeah.
What inspired you to be that way?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was little, I had it all started, I had toy animals. And from the animals, I shifted over to cars because every so often I'd hear a V10 fly by, a V12 fly by. And I would just be amazed. Like, how does one make such an insanely powerful vehicle, everything? And ever since then, I've always been studying. I watch YouTube videos on cars. I learn about engines in different cars, especially like BMWs, because I have a BMW. I learned a lot about BMW's past, Mercedes, Audi, the German trio. And I just kept going on to exotic cars from there. So moving on to like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens, and then hypercars even.
Okay, what association do exotic cars have with successful people? Like, what have you seen? Because you've been to the car shows, the Cars and Coffees. You were at Monterey Car Week. You were working as valet there, driving some of the coolest cars. You have some friends that have some cars that at your age, I didn't even know what it was possible. But we'll get into that after. But what association, what does a Ferrari mean to you? Like, what? So, yeah, let's start with that.
There's also, so you go to like, let's say Monterey Car Week, I was just there, someone pulled up in a Ferrari and someone pulled up in another Ferrari and they just automatically clicked. They just started talking. So at that point of that wealth, having a car that shows off wealth to other people that like cars is just a talking point. You can make business. Somehow that just works. Just like how people play golf and they have business talks while playing golf. If you show up with your cool car to a cool car event, you just automatically make friends, make business partners, and that's how you just keep growing. That's how I see it.
So to sum it up, and you said it pretty well, you're mingling with people that are like-minded or people that are successful, and you actually want to be with those people.
Yes.
Because you guys relate on such a car scene.
Yeah, you always want to have more friends that are above your level than at your level because it pushes you.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite cars? And you could go, this is a tough question, but you can name a few if you like.
I mean, attainable or non-attainable?
You could go with, give me cars in a few price ranges and then a dream car. And, and then I'll ask you a couple other car questions.
I'd say a good starting point is exotic car under 400,000.
Okay.
I'd say I love GT3s.
Okay.
GT3
RSs?
Porsche. I love the RS, too much downforce, I would say, for normal road. If I was going to Germany on the Nürburgring, I'd take a 3RS.
Okay. I
love GT3s for the naturally aspirated engine. Same thing with the 458 Ferraris, naturally aspirated. I love the V8. McLaren 570S, perfect starter. I'd say exotic car. You can get them pretty cheap now, under 200K used.
Wow. They're pretty good price.
Yeah, very nice cars.
I drove those before.
I love them. They look so mean and aggressive. And I'd say going up over 500,000, I love the SVJ Aventador, 488 Pista Ferrari.
Yeah, the Ferrari. Yeah. Well, I would probably go with a 488 Pista over the Aventador, personally.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I love the Aventador because the V12 just sounds so much better than
It does sound better, but from what, I don't know if I've driven an Aventador before, but from what I heard is it's a little bit, I think there's something different with the clutch on that car.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to drive.
Is it a dual clutch or is it single? Is it Triptronic?
I don't know about the new ones. I know before they were like single clutch, so it was pretty hard to drive. I hear
very
sensitive,
very jerky.
Yeah, very sensitive.
Like, throw you back in the seat type.
Yeah, I've never driven one either.
Yeah, I did. A buddy of mine did have a Huracan, which is a Lamborghini as well, and I've driven it quite a lot. And he got a the SUV. What's that one called?
Oh, the Urus.
The Urus. That's right.
That's cool.
And I like the Huracan better. I feel like the Urus is a little bit too compact for an SUV, and at the same time, it's not. You don't get that exotic feel of a two-seater.
Yeah, the sport SUVs, they're a cool concept, but I mean, I'd take an X5M competition BMW SUV over any SUV.
It's roomy. It's more practical.
Yeah, and you're paying like $150,000 instead of $300,000.
And I think they're just as fast on paper.
Oh, they're very fast.
Maybe
over 600 horsepower. Yeah.
And not tweaked or tuned.
What about you?
My favorite cars?
Yeah, your favorite cars.
I'd say, as I get older, Ferrari is more of a brand that I probably end up associating with. My most attainable would be a GT3 RS. I would say is a good everyday car or a good car that you could use more than often.
They're comfortable.
Like a Ferrari, I feel like it's not a Porsche. You could use it, but is it an everyday car? I don't know. Depends where you drive and where you
Yeah.
go. Here in the Bay Area, there's not that many people taking out those type of cars daily. As opposed to say Miami, which we've both been to so many times in the last several years or a couple of years. You see Ferrari there.
Yeah,
or
you'll see a
Lambo,
Ferrari and it just
like every 10 seconds.
yeah. Then all of a sudden you just start seeing Bugattis.
Yeah.
You start seeing
Different level.
huge cars, McLaren
And you know what?
Sennas.
And you know what? This makes a big point because like if you could live there and not pay income tax and you're making say $500,000 a year, that's a big percent. Almost 10% goes away to the state of California. In certain cases, it's 13% if you're at that bracket. But that's a lot. That's a lot of money. If you make $1 million, are you going to give the state $130,000, or are you going to put that as a down payment?
I mean, you're letting your governor at that point drive your Ferrari for you.
yeah. Newsom's driving the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Newsom does have a Centurion black card. I do want to tell you that. I've seen it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. I knew he had it. And funny story with him. He owns, what does he own? He owned a little bar on Union Street in San Francisco. It's very chic, very nicely designed. I don't know if he still owns it or not since he became governor, but he's got quite a few businesses. And
I'm sure.
And I'm like 98% certain I've seen his Centurion card because somehow mine got raised with an occasion that we were at the same place at the same time or something like that. But I know he's up there. Anyway, so you named the Aventador. What about over $1 million, a hypercar, let's say?
I love Bugattis. I love Koenigsegg. I love Pagani. But my favorite car in the world, if I had any money unlimited, is a De Tomaso P72. It's not very well known by people, but it's an Italian car. They had their first car back in the 80s, the Pantera, and they just released their newest car, their P72. And honestly, I've never seen anything like it.
What do you like about it?
Oh my God. The back of it has a retro look to go back to their old car, and then the front of it, just all the lines, a sleek look. The thing is, a lot of new hypercars, new cars, they just copying each other. A lot of them just look very similar.
That's true.
The De Tomaso P72, I have not seen a car that looks remotely close to it.
What's the price on it? Or close? Or
I'd say 2.5 to 3 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there are cars that go, you told me or sent me an article the other day because you're so into cars, like a car sold for 28 million or was it?
Oh yeah, actually one of the valets I was doing, it was for Bonham's auction.
Okay.
That was one of the ones I was
at the Monterey Car Week.
Yeah, at Monterey Car Week. We were pushing up cars. Billionaires was in the audience. They were all bidding up.
Did you see Elon Musk?
I think Elon Musk was at the Quail Lodge event getting the new Koenigsegg's. But yeah, I was pushing up a car, and one of the cars I pushed up was a 412P, the Le Mans car for Ferrari. It was the one that was in Ford versus Ferrari, the movie.
Uh-huh.
I pushed it up on stage, and they started the bid at $20 million. And then people were just raising up by $1 million each second.
Can you imagine having that much money where you're just buying a toy, which is what it is, a collector's toy?
I was looking on the audience, and it's just these dads with their kids, like these 50-year-old dads with their 10-year-old kids. Yeah. And they're just like, which one do you like? Which one do you like?
What a life.
That's like, wow.
That's incredible. And on my channel, I talked about this. That is such a wonderful thing to be able to teach the next generation that this is okay to do. In America, people were so happy. The American dream was to own a nice house, a nice car, et cetera. And then somewhere along the line, being rich became like a negative stigma, as if you're a jerk or whatever. And oftentimes when you meet these car people or these car enthusiasts at these events, such as Cars and Coffee and so forth, they're really nice people. They're very respectful. They appreciate money. They understand money. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but the good majority of people are very good people and very humble, which is really neat.
Humble is a big thing with owning supercars, because if you're coming out of your Aventador and you're all like cocky with your glasses, your Armani jacket, you're like, you take my keys. Yeah. That's not a person.
And that happened. So did that happen to you before?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how did that feel?
One of the pieces I was valeting for was Pininfarina, another hypercar. Oh, yeah. They were having their unveiling for 3 new cars. And we were checking in cars, Bentleys, Urus's, Ferrari 458s. We were checking in all these cars. And then one guy comes in with his Aventador SV. And he just, this is exactly what I was just talking about, actually. He walks out, gives us the keys. He doesn't talk to us, says, take my car, park it right there, please. Like, it's like really, really cocky attitude. And like people like that, I just hate when they own those cars, because there's people that have such good personalities that they should be the ones there. But
I always
all
said
comes down.
money doesn't make the person happy. It amplifies
who they are.
Like if they're an asshole inside or they're fighting demons, they're just going to be a bigger one on the outside. And that's pretty neat. So
it actually puts a bad look on other supercar owners at that point.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. There's a stigma to it. There's like this stigma of obnoxiousness and rudeness. And you know what? I could see that stigma apply, because there's a lot of YouTube guys out there as well, driving exotic cars, doing donuts and doing some weird things with them, and really acting as if like it's funny, and and they do it for the entertainment purpose, because those videos get a lot of clicks.
That's how they make their money.
Yeah, those videos get a lot of clicks, being silly and dumb and crashing it or whatever. But in reality, it does put that like nasty taste in your mouth about that type of owner, and that's why I brought it up. It's not a lot of people are like that. They're actually very humble, very down to earth. They just happen to have a lot of money.
When I was down in Monterey, everyone I met was so nice.
Yeah.
They let me sit in the cars. They were like,
Was this your first show?
Yeah, this was the first show I worked at, but I've been to Monterey Car Week in the past 2 times.
You have? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tell me about the show, the difference between working there and being a visitor. And then you also mentioned a particular street where you get to see it. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I went there. I didn't go there last year, but I went there the year before and the year before that.
Okay.
And going there younger, you get to see all the cars, but you need to pay to enter. I forget exactly how much it is, but to enter Quail Lodge, for example, you need to pay to enter, or you need to know people to enter, or like the special.
Or you gotta sneak in.
Or just sneak in over the fence. Or like Aston Martin and their unveiling for the Valkyrie, or just big unveilings for different hypercars. You need to know people to get in there. That's how you get in. But if you're working the event, like I was just there, you just show them your badge, your shirt, and you just go in, and you can see all the cars.
So you got to see them up close.
I got to see all the cars up close.
You're part of the crew.
Yeah, but one thing that I wish I knew the first time I went, because I didn't get to see many cars, is you guys can literally, if you guys just wait till evening on Monterey Car Week, go to Ocean Avenue, and you will see all the cars, because everyone goes to have dinner there right after the show. So all the cars that they have inside are going to be on Ocean Avenue a few hours later for free, just sitting there.
And you get to like maybe even mingle with some of these people, or tell them nice car, or be like that guy on Instagram. What do you do for a living? Interesting.
Yeah, I was on Ocean Avenue. I started seeing insane cars like Chiron Pure Sports, Pagani Huayra BCs. I even saw the new Apollo IE. Crazy new.
I mean, you can't just buy that car.
No.
Like you have to be.
You need to be somewhere.
Like on some level. Let me tell you who my favorite car collector is. And he's not on YouTube, I believe, but he is on Instagram. I would say he's also humble. I've messaged him a bunch of times. And if one day I ever get him on this podcast, I don't know if he'll come or not.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Give me a name and I'll tell you if it's him or
Manny
not.
Koshpin.
No.
No?
No way.
Does he have a YouTube channel?
He does. Manny Koshpin's big on YouTube, but it's not him. Nothing. I don't know Manny at all. He's very popular. He's great for TV. I met someone. We were in Miami as well. Someone that was on the Real Housewives, the husband of a woman that was on the Real Housewives of Orange County. He says he's Manny Koshpin's neighbor.
Oh, really?
He owns a big company that would do. They supply all the hardware for prisons, the toilet fittings, the toilet hardware, the knobs, everything.
Never thought about that.
Man, it's a pretty big business. This guy, he's like, I know Manny, and he's like, he's my neighbor. But overall, the impression I get from Manny is he does it for a show. He's great at it. He's great at YouTube. I don't know where he got his money from, but he's not my favorite collector. Manny does also like a mastermind or something, just out of curiosity.
Oh, his realty.
Yeah, out of curiosity. I one time, contact him and see what the hell he charges. And he tried to charge like $15,000 or so to listen to him speak and see a couple of his cars. And I was like, oh, this is kind of excessive.
It's pretty popular though. I saw he posted like all the people going to see his cars.
He listen, it's a thing. And if it helps people, all for it. I'm not against it. I think he has a purpose in life for a lot of individuals, and God bless him. But I got to see his cars without paying. He had an event
I remember
at his
you
building.
told me.
I think I invited you. You couldn't go that time.
Yeah, I wasn't.
And I flew out and met a friend there. We drove out in his Lamborghini Huracan. I drove on the way back. He drove there, and we went to a Manny Koshman event, and there were so many people. I mean, I would say there was like 3,000 people, which is incredible about the power he has. But that's not my favorite guy. My favorite guy, I would say, is Barry Skolnick. Do you know who that is?
Oh, I think I have him on Instagram.
Okay.
I think I know who you're
so
talking
you should
about.
look him up. He owns Iconic Motors out of LA. He's a very humble guy. Imagine this building times like 20. And he has all his rare cars in it. It's white. Everything's like white and bright.
That's nice. Having a nice aesthetic is cool.
And yeah, so on Instagram, check him out. Barry Skolnick, Iconic Motors. He has a beautiful wife. He seems very humble, very nice. Replied a couple times to things he didn't have to, and seems like a very down-to-earth person. That's somebody that I would say, hey, that's like someone I would look up to. And I'm going to reach out to him anyway and see if he'll come on the podcast.
I hope so.
I don't know if he'll do it or not, but he also has the Skolnick Center for Children, or a hospital, which is like very nice.
That's very nice.
That's all I know about him, but he seemed like very nice. It's not a show. He really just appreciates the art of the cars. I don't think he needs any residual incomes or anything like that off it. So that's one person. I think a lot of people would say Shmi.
Hey guys, it's Shmi.
It's Shmi.
I actually saw him when I was in Monterey. He pulled up in his new purple Zenvo, TSR, I think. Yeah, that he came out of his car, and we were actually talking about this. He sounds the exact same in person.
How did he say? Hey, it's me.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was like, hi guys, everyone. I'm having a great time today.
Really?
And he's just the sweetest person.
Were a lot of people like so happy to see him?
Oh yeah, I mean, he has like one of a few cars. The Zenvo. Everyone was just circled around it.
I would say him and Supercar Blondie.
Supercar Blondie.
Opposite sex, of course, but they're the two car celebrities that are like so known.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, everyone knows who Shmi is.
Yeah. He's probably number one. I mean, he's like a Jay Leno almost.
Oh, for sure.
But he does the exotics.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't see anyone bigger than Shmi.
Yeah, and then there's one guy that I really look up to is Stradman, if you've ever seen his videos.
Yeah, I have.
That guy, he went from literally being homeless, living out of his little Audi TT from 2008 to having Veyrons all over the place.
He really came up. And he's you know what? I haven't seen one of his videos in a long time. It doesn't pop up, but he always did those first person videos.
He actually just released a video like a few days ago. He was thinking of what car to just put on his wall in his new mansion. And he bought an Indy car, like a retired Indy car, and he's mounting it in his like family room just on the wall.
Crazy. There's a guy here, you've seen his cars, and I think you said you saw him on at the Monterey Car Show. He has the cars in his living room, like he has a LaFerrari.
Ferrari
Drive on Instagram. Yeah. I've seen a couple of his videos. Yeah. He lives nearby here. I don't know him, never met him. I had some ex-friends or friends that I knew growing up. They were at his house and they saw the cars and so forth, which is pretty cool. But it's a pretty cool concept when you make your driveway connect to your living space and you could park your LaFerrari.
Yeah, he has an actual turntable in his family room.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So he could get out.
It's awesome. It's funny. He has like Monza SB2, LaFerrari is a Veyron, but my favorite car is his 458 Speciale. I've seen it a few times and I saw it the other week.
Yeah.
I love that car.
Does he park it on like Burlingame Avenue?
He parks on Burlingame all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's the number one car he usually takes out. Either that or his LaFerrari he takes out sometimes.
The LaFerrari to me says a lot. You know who else also has a really incredible car collection? that doesn't get a lot of attention is Gordon Ramsay.
Oh my God. I actually read about that.
Yeah.
He has a 918, a P1.
But he's a big enthusiast.
Yeah, I mean, he probably makes a lot of money from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, cooking something. Right?
I actually really want to go to Hell's Kitchen. It's in Las Vegas, right?
I believe so. Last time I was in Las Vegas, I felt old, but that's a different topic.
Man.
Yeah, but I was there for a car event.
For my 21st birthday, we can go.
Yeah, I remember I took your, well, I didn't take him, but your older brother by like 10 years. He went for a bachelor party we had in Las Vegas, and it was my bachelor party, and it was like a week event. When we left that bachelor party on day 7, we all looked like we were like 20 years older, exhausted.
That's awesome.
And just the heat, the nonstop day and night. We all vouched to never go back to Vegas.
It's like the Hangover.
Oh my God, it was the Hangover. That was the movie at the time or something.
That's awesome.
I don't know. It was kind of crazy. I think Hangover was like 10, 12 years old. So it was about that time. That's incredible. So we talked about which cars you like.
Yeah.
But then what you surprised me one day is you've driven some of these crazy exotics. Now, you've driven them for your job, which is this luxury valet service, which is an interesting business you talked about, which you considered opening up in LA yourself.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
Yep. So, I'm excited to hear about that in the future, how you plan to market it, what you're planning to do, how you plan to maintain your employees. Are you going to do it by yourself, et cetera? So that's a topic for a different day, but that's really exciting because you're now thinking about the entrepreneurial side of things. But what exotic cars have you driven that blew your socks off?
Oh man, I'd say the coolest car I've ever driven was actually one of my friends. He was taking the car out for the day. It was a brand new car. It was a F8 Tributo. Okay. Nice red Ferrari. We were driving back, and we were on the bridge, and he pulled over right before the bridge. He said, "Do you want to drive it?" And I looked at him.
How old is this guy? Just curious.
He's 21.
Wow.
21.
And that's his car?
It's his family friend's car.
Family's friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
He actually has an M2.
Oh,
That's
wow.
cool.
It's a nice car.
So yeah, it's his family friend's car. He said, do you want to drive it? I said, okay.
Yeah. Don't twist my arm.
Be real with me. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So yeah, I drove it for a little bit. I was really respectful with the car.
Of course.
Say the speed limit and everything, but downshifting, upshifting on that car, oh my God. It's like I went from my car is a single turbo, so it went from like a muffled inline 6 sound in my BMW to just like
it was incredible. Where did you take it on 280 or where?
Right here on the bridge.
On the bridge.
Right over the bridge, and then yeah.
Nice. Did you ever drive an SP90?
The SF90.
Excuse me,
I haven't.
SF90.
I haven't.
You have not?
No.
Oh, right.
That car is brutal.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's so fast.
But but you have not driven that.
I've not driven it. I just know
so
the
F8
details
Tributo. What else have you?
I drove a Huracan in the past.
Okay.
And another car I've driven. Actually, my dealership, we just got we had a Viper.
Dodge Viper?
Yeah, it was an older Viper, a couple years old. I got to drive that one. It was
Those
really nice.
are getting like really up in price because
they are.
They're becoming like very big collector cars.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was really nice. It was a 6-speed manual. I think all of them actually come in manual. And it was really nice. It was pretty stiff, pretty hard. The clutch is like a brick, but it's fun.
So to sum all this up, this has been a great episode. I think we got to talk a little bit about cars, about personal life. One question I didn't ask that the younger viewers may want to ask, or you may want to see in the future when you're older. Do girls your age or around your age care for these cars, or are they around these events? Like, is it a cool thing to know about them, or have one, or have friends that have one?
Yeah,
for the dating scene.
I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you, but I know that having nice cars, it just means for me having fun. Okay. But for a lot of people, it's also like materialistic wise, like they think it makes them look better. They want to show people that they are something. But if they're just like, if I'm happy, I'm happy.
So you love the exotic cars, not for what other people think of you,
Yeah.
but because you enjoy the true fine art of
just
an
because
exotic car.
I just love the work of a naturally aspirated V12, just the sound of it. It's just for myself. It just makes me, I love it.
Could go inside. Cool. So we have summed this up basically here. It seems like Lawrence, who happens to be my brother-in-law, probably the coolest brother-in-law a guy like me could ask for, he has created a vision board for himself, I would say, of the credit cards, the cars, and a lifestyle that he wants to achieve in the future. I think it's safe to say you're on a good path. I think one day you'll own these exotic cars just like you now own the Platinum card, maybe the Centurion card, and so forth. So promising future. You're going to be studying radiology, is that correct? At school?
So when I'm going to be in med school in a few years. There's two paths I really want to go towards, either interventional radiology or cardiac surgery for like pediatrics, like for kids. Those are two things I really like. I'm really interested in.
Sounds very complicating. It sounds very rewarding when you get your degree. I am just proud to be your brother-in-law, and I really thank you for coming on this podcast. I hope you had a good time. We got to talk about quite a lot of topics. Started with the most important topic, I think, which is credit, because without good credit, you're not going to get the car, the house, maybe not even a good job.
Even the motivation to want to do those things.
Because you feel like you can't.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on this podcast, and truly appreciate it. One day we'll look back at it and laugh how silly it was and fun it was. And now we're off to dinner to talk about real stuff.
Now let's do it.
All right. Cool, Lords. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. And don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this episode or any other episodes out there that you watch on our channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it, put the word out. If there's any topics or anyone that you'd like to see on the podcast, shoot me an email and I'll have our team try to get out to that person to get them on this show. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day.